It's really, it's a rap. This guy, man. This guy,
50's not to be.
No.
A great example of what an entrepreneur, a CEO, a go-getter, a hustler.
Never do something like this. Well, it turns out they are very much motivated by greed, and money changes people, apparently.
Understand the definition of diabolical genius. Now, this is all in regards of defending Diddy.
Rick Ross built an empire on his larger-than-life persona, but now his world is crumbling. As Diddy's arrest sends shockwaves through the hip-hop community, Ross finds himself caught in the crossfire, his darkest secrets on the verge of exposure. What really happened behind closed doors? The tapes that could destroy everything Ross worked for are about to come to light. As we unravel the truth, you'll see how one man's rise to fame led him down a path of no return. Picture this: a nervous Rick Ross, still unknown in the music world, stumbling through the doors of Bad Boy Records. He's there to meet the legendary Diddy, hoping for a chance to impress. But as Ross approaches, he trips over his own feet, spilling his demo tape across the floor. Diddy, instead of dismissing him, bursts into laughter and helps Ross gather the scattered CDs. This awkward encounter marked the beginning of an alliance that would reshape hip-hop. Back in 2006, Ross was struggling to break into the industry. His raw talent was undeniable, but he lacked the connections and polish needed to make it big. Enter Sean Diddy Combs, already a music mogul with a keen eye for potential. Diddy saw something in Ross that others missed, a larger-than-life personality waiting to be unleashed. Their partnership was an odd match on the surface. Diddy, the smooth-talking businessman in tailored suits, contrasted sharply with Ross's streetwise swagger and imposing physique.
And I know why Rick Ross responded to those comments, because Rick Ross has a close relationship with Diddy.
But behind closed doors, a different dynamic emerged. Diddy became a mentor, teaching Ross the ins and outs of the industry. He showed Ross how to craft a public image, negotiate deals, and turn his music into a brand. Under Diddy's guidance, Ross's career skyrocketed. His debut album, Port of Miami, hit #1 on the Billboard 200, powered by the smash hit Hustlin'. But Diddy's influence went beyond just music. He introduced Ross to the world of high fashion, fine dining, and luxury living. Soon, Ross was as comfortable in designer boutiques as he was in the recording studio. Industry insiders marveled at the transformation. One anonymous producer recalled, "It was like watching a caterpillar turn into a butterfly." But the butterfly was wearing a gold chain and rapping about cocaine. Ross's lyrics still spoke of street life, but his lifestyle became increasingly opulent. Diddy's business acumen rubbed off on Ross, who launched his own record label, Maybach Music Group, in 2009. He also ventured into other industries, opening Wingstop franchises and partnering with Luc Belaire Champagne. Ross was no longer just a rapper, he was becoming a mogul in his own right. But as their empire grew, so did the whispers. Some questioned the nature of their relationship, wondering if there was more to it than meets the eye. The contrast between Ross's tough guy image and his close bond with Diddy raised eyebrows in certain circles, and the turning point in their relationship came during a lavish yacht party in 2012. As the night wore on and the champagne flowed freely, Ross and Diddy found themselves alone on the deck. What exactly transpired that night remains a mystery, but those close to both men say it changed everything. From that moment on, their partnership seemed deeper, more intertwined. Ross later hinted at this pivotal moment in an interview, saying cryptically, "Some bonds are forged in fire, others in water. Ours was sealed by the sea."
Of how they really are with women or people or whatever the case may be. Sometimes they'll slip out of their mouth and they'll try to pass it off as an art form.
This enigmatic statement only fueled further speculation about the true nature of their connection. The phone rang at 3 a.m., jolting Rick Ross awake. The voice on the other end was hushed, urgent. "They know." Those two words would shatter the carefully constructed facade of hip-hop's biggest empire. What dark secrets were about to come to light, and how deep did the rabbit hole go? As the sun rose over Miami, the hip-hop world was rocked by the news of Diddy's arrest on September 16th, 2024. The charges were shocking, hosting controversial parties where guests were allegedly given spiked drinks, leading to loss of consciousness. Suddenly, the glittering world of celebrity parties took on a sinister hue, and everyone associated with Diddy found themselves under intense scrutiny. Rick Ross, longtime friend and collaborator of Diddy, couldn't escape the fallout. Rumors began to swirl, linking Ross to these questionable events. The nature of these allegations suggested that Ross's past collaborations and close ties with Diddy could place him in the crosshairs of the investigation. As more details emerged, the hip-hop community held its collective breath, wondering just how far the damage would spread. The culture of silence in the hip-hop industry became glaringly apparent. Many insiders admitted they had been aware of Diddy's controversial practices for years, but chose to remain silent to protect their careers.
Understand the definition of diabolical genius. Now, this is all in regards of defending Diddy. Diddy and Rick Ross both have, allegations against them or condone certain things.
This code of loyalty, once seen as a cornerstone of the hip-hop world, now seemed more like a noose tightening around the necks of those involved. Mark Curry, a former Bad Boy Records rapper, broke ranks and spoke out. In a revealing interview, he claimed that Diddy hosted parties where guests were provided with alcohol that was allegedly spiked. Curry's statements echoed through the industry, forcing many to confront the uncomfortable truth they had long ignored. As the investigation deepened, more disturbing details came to light. Homeland Security agents reportedly recovered 1,000 bottles of baby oil from Diddy's residence, fueling speculation about the nature of his parties and the potential involvement of other artists, including Rick Ross. The implications were staggering, and the hip-hop community watched in horror as the scandal unfolded. The allegations against Diddy went beyond just controversial parties. Claims surfaced that he had pressured associates into engaging in sexual acts in exchange for career opportunities. This revelation cast a dark shadow over the power dynamics within the industry and raised serious questions about the nature of loyalty and success in hip-hop. As the evidence mounted, all eyes turned to Rick Ross. His close association with Diddy made him a prime target for speculation. The pressure intensified when 50 Cent, never one to shy away from controversy, publicly accused Ross of being romantically involved with Diddy.
It's a wrap. This guy, man. This guy,
50's not to be.
No.
There's a photo out there that I'm going to put on the screen. It's a photo of them really close to each other. Just say that.
This claim, whether true or not, only added fuel to the fire of suspicion surrounding Ross. Then came the bombshell. A video surfaced allegedly showing Ross at one of Diddy's notorious parties. While the footage was grainy, there was no mistaking Ross's distinctive frame and voice. In the video, he could be seen laughing and joking with Diddy, seemingly unaware of the questionable activities happening around him. This damning piece of evidence threatened to implicate Ross directly in the scandal.
Brilliant idiots with Andrew Schultz, and talked about how 50 Cent wouldn't let his foot off of Diddy's neck.
In the wake of Diddy's arrest, Rick Ross faced a moment of reckoning, but as the music industry held its breath, Ross made a move that no one saw coming. What desperate measures did he take to salvage his reputation, and at what cost? The events leading up to Diddy's arrest on September 16th, 2024, had already cast a shadow over Rick Ross's world. Rumors of controversial parties and allegations of misconduct swirled around Diddy, and Ross found himself caught in the crossfire. As the hip-hop community buzzed with speculation, Ross's every move came under intense scrutiny. In the immediate aftermath of Diddy's arrest, Ross's reaction was telling. His usually active social media accounts fell eerily silent, save for a single cryptic post that sent his fanbase into a frenzy. The message, a simple "pray for me," sparked widespread debate about its meaning. Was Ross admitting guilt, seeking sympathy, or simply expressing shock at the unfolding events?
I mean, her businesses, once seen as her claim to fame, now appear to be mere fronts for darker dealings behind closed doors.
As the days passed, Ross's attempts to distance himself from Diddy became increasingly apparent. He abruptly canceled several high-profile appearances and postponed the release of his highly anticipated album. Industry insiders noted a flurry of activity at Maybach Music Group, Ross's record label, as his team scrambled to contain the fallout. The impact on Ross's business ventures was swift and severe. Reports surfaced of strained relationships with sponsors and collaborators. His Wingstop franchises saw a dip in sales as some customers called for a boycott. Even his partnership with Luc Belaire Champagne, once a symbol of his success, came under scrutiny as the brand distanced itself from the embattled rapper. Legal experts weighed in on the potential consequences for Ross. While he hadn't been directly implicated in Diddy's alleged crimes, his close association with the music mogul put him in a precarious position. One prominent entertainment lawyer commented, even if Ross had no knowledge of any illegal activities, his reputation could suffer irreparable damage. The court of public opinion can be far more unforgiving than any legal system.
Sudden social media purge of Diddy on all her platforms 24 hours before the feds raided.
At one point, they were so close you would think, they're in a relationship together. That's how close they were at one point.
As pressure mounted for Ross to address the situation, anticipation built towards his official statement. Fans and critics alike waited with bated breath, wondering how the usually outspoken rapper would navigate this crisis. Would he stand by his longtime friend and mentor, or cut ties to save his own skin? Finally, after days of silence, Ross released a carefully worded statement through his publicist. In it, he expressed shock at the allegations against Diddy and claimed to have no knowledge of any wrongdoing. He went on to say, "My heart goes out to all those affected by this situation. I trust in the legal process and hope that justice will prevail." The statement was notably devoid of any words of support for Diddy, marking a clear shift in their once unbreakable alliance.
During 2010, 2011, remember he was on the Diddy album Hello Good Morning, and they were doing records here and there, and Diddy was like, he's the next Biggie, he's my Biggie of...
A great example of what an entrepreneur, a CEO, a go-getter, a hustler.
The reception to Ross's statement was mixed. Some praised his measured response, while others criticized him for not taking a stronger stand. Social media lit up with debates about loyalty, accountability, and the culture of silence in the hip-hop world. While the world watched Rick Ross and Diddy, another rapper made a move that would change everything. This artist's decision to speak out wasn't just brave, it was potentially career-ending. What did they reveal, and why are insiders calling it the beginning of the end for an entire generation of hip-hop moguls? The ripple effects of Diddy's arrest spread far beyond Rick Ross, sending shockwaves through the entire hip-hop community. As the dust settled, a pattern emerged. Artists who once clamored to be associated with Diddy and his circle were now scrambling to distance themselves. Social media became a battlefield, with fans and critics alike trolling figures connected to Diddy, including Ross.
Early on, Diddy started getting involved more in Rick Ross's career and pumping him up as the next Biggie.
Never do something like this. Well, it turns out they are very much motivated by greed, and money changes people, apparently.
Young Miami, known for her public relationship with Diddy, found herself caught in the crossfire. Trolls flooded her social media, drawing connections between her involvement with Diddy and her ties to Rick Ross. The backlash was swift and merciless, highlighting how quickly public opinion could turn. The hip-hop community found itself divided. Some stood by Diddy and Ross, citing the need for due process and loyalty. Others called for a complete reevaluation of the industry's power structures and the culture of silence that had allowed such behavior to persist. This conflict played out in real time on social media, in recording studios, and at industry events. As the controversy deepened, more artists began to speak out. Some shared their own experiences of pressure and exploitation within the industry, while others expressed shock and disappointment at the allegations. The once solid facade of hip-hop unity began to crack, revealing deep-seated issues that had long been ignored. Music industry analysts predicted a seismic shift in the hip-hop landscape. One prominent analyst stated, "This scandal could reshape the entire industry. Artists are reconsidering their associations, labels are reevaluating their rosters, and fans are demanding more transparency. The old guard of hip-hop moguls might be facing their final days." As the weeks passed, the situation for Rick Ross grew increasingly dire. Rumors swirled about the existence of damaging tapes that could implicate him in Diddy's controversies. The speculation reached a fever pitch, with insiders hinting at career-ending revelations that could surface at any moment. Then came the bombshell. A major music festival announced the cancellation of Rick Ross's headlining performance, citing unforeseen circumstances. This wasn't just another canceled show. It was a clear signal that the industry was distancing itself from Ross. The decision sent shockwaves through the music world, with other promoters and venues quickly following suit. In the wake of this development, Ross's empire began to crumble. His record label, Maybach Music Group, faced an exodus of artists and staff. Sponsorship deals were quietly terminated, and collaborations with other artists dried up. The man who once seemed untouchable now found himself increasingly isolated. As the hip-hop community grappled with these upheavals, a sense of uncertainty settled over the industry. The future of Rick Ross, once considered a titan of rap, now hung in the balance. Would he weather this storm, or would the mounting evidence and public pressure proved too much to overcome? The fallout from Diddy's arrest and the subsequent scrutiny of Ross had created a climate of fear and suspicion. Artists, producers, and industry executives alike wondered who might be next. As the hip-hop world braced for more revelations, one thing became clear: the landscape of rap music would never be the same.